Most Americans don't want to work directly with the locals. They prefer to work with another American because they don't trust the locals in those countries. Rightfully so. I mean, how many times have you worked with somebody in India and they scammed you? How many times have you worked with somebody in Nigeria and they scammed you?
Police in these countries, right? Like in America, you call the police are going to show up. If someone's committing a crime, good chance that person's going to be arrested. In some of these other countries, you call the police, they might not show up unless you pay them.
I used to hate it when I would see Americans saying, you know, we live in the worst country or our police don't do their job. You haven't been anywhere. If somebody murders your cousin in America, you call the police, they're showing up. They probably gonna shoot you too, but they're showing up. They're ready to arrest somebody. That person will be prosecuted and you don't have to pay nobody. Go try to sue somebody in Brazil. Go try to sue somebody in Kenya. See how it goes.
You know, some of these other countries, man, like they don't have the same incentive that us Americans have to be law-abiding citizens. Hey, my fellow travelers, welcome aboard the Flight Madness. It's your Captain Danny Flight here. I'm an American who's been living overseas, teaching English for over 10 years now. And today I'm in Bangkok meeting Auston, an American entrepreneur and YouTuber who left the US a few years ago. Since then, he's traveled across multiple countries. He's built income through content, consultations, digital products, and also a few different overseas business ventures. So today, what I really want to unpack is the different ventures that he saw once he got boots on the ground overseas, especially the different business ventures that he's encountered in Africa, how he turned his audience into a business, and why so many guys let fear keep them trapped in America. So let's go meet Auston and break down what building location-independent business ventures actually looks like. All right, guys, here we are with Auston Holleman, a big YouTuber in the travel space. Auston, you've been making content for a few years now, living overseas, so I have a few questions to ask you. All right, so Auston, what did your life and business look like in America before you started taking travel seriously?
Before I started taking travel seriously, my life and my business in America was me living in a one-bedroom apartment in North Dallas off of 75 and Forest Lane for the people that know. I had a barbershop. I only had one at the time when I decided to start taking travel serious, but I used to have one in Austin, Texas, and one in Louisville, Texas. And by the time I had first went to Brazil, I was living in a one-bedroom apartment in North Dallas, and I had the one in Louisville. And I was making around anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a month. My best month as a barber was $11,000, but commonly I'll say $10,000 because it was somewhere around that range every single month. But the thing is that my life just consisted of it looked good from the outside. Like I had my own car, a pretty nice car. I had my own place. I was 20, 21 as well. 20, 21, 22. You know, through that age range. You know, I never asked anybody for money. You know, I had a barbershop in 2 different parts of the state. But pretty much that's all I did was cut hair. And, you know, usually for a young person, you at least want to have some balance with social life. I didn't have any balance with social life to the point where it was starting to depress me because all I did was work until my feet were hurting at work from standing up all day and go home. And I just had success and people were like, I wish I could have your life. So I was like, no, I wish I would probably have yours. And speaking after 4 years of doing this, I still would pick this over that, you know, for sure.
Okay, so at what point did you realize that making money and having freedom were not necessarily the same thing?
Making money and having freedom is not the same thing because you have to have a trade-off. So if you want to have freedom, usually, not all the time, but usually for most people, you have to take less pay in return. For you to make more money, usually you have to sacrifice a lot of freedom, like the freedom to take off work when you want to, the freedom to hang out with friends when you want to stay inside and just binge watch Netflix when you want to. So you have to pick between the two. And I thought for the longest that I could balance it. Now I have a better balance of it. But even now, my work life is consuming my entire life over my social life. I'm able to do that because I have a girlfriend now. But when I was single, it was far harder to balance it. The income that I was making and the stuff I was able to buy was great, but I didn't have any time to enjoy anything. And I think that's a bigger thing with the culture in America is that it makes it more depressing because most people are in that position where all they can do is work. I mean, if you want to go out and get a drink, it's like $25 a drink. Then you got to pay $20 for valet, at least in Texas, maybe somewhere else is even more, $20 for valet. Then you got to pay $30 for a meal or $15 for a Caesar salad in a restaurant. And that's so expensive. Only the top percentile people can enjoy it the way we would enjoy being here. So once I got exposed to what was going on in Brazil, it changed my entire perspective altogether. This is the cheat code to have a better work-life balance. Because if you can bring in $4,000 a month, you can have the actual work-life balance. Versus if you were in Texas, one pop tire and your ass is done,
How much of the problem was that your income depended on you physically being there in America?
That was one of the main problems, because the first trip that I took a week off from barbering to go to Brazil. And a week is a big deal for barbers. I mean, it's not like I'm not employed by anybody, so it's not like I get vacation time. A week is enough time for my clients to need to do something or have a wedding or something important to the point where they have to go find somebody else. And then if that person is closer or cheaper and they can cut just as good and, they're just as convenient, then you could lose a client. I didn't really care about that because I had a high demand. So I knew that I would always have new clients, and I had mastered attracting people from Instagram and Google Maps and all that. And so as a barber, you can to make the sacrifice of taking time off for a week. A week is not going to kill your business, but it'd be inconvenient. Most of my clients understood that I needed to take a week off because I had worked for 3 years straight, basically, or more than that. But then the second time on my birthday in May 2022, I took 2 weeks off. Now that's a bigger difference because most people get their haircut probably, taken from a barber's perspective, once every 2 weeks. So that was me missing the whole cycle of my clientele. And I was like, damn, okay, I'm actually enjoying my money and being able to live life being here in Brazil, but I'm making a sacrifice for my business. So that was the biggest thing. Well, people would just say, find somebody to run the barbershop, as if you can just find somebody that can fit your needs, that can, perform well with customer service the way how you do. You can't do that. It's not like a McDonald's where they go through orientation. You have to actually look for somebody that can actually uphold your standard. If you think that, just find somebody to run the barbershop, and you throw a sorry person in there, well, now you don't have any residual income to live off of because your barbershop is going down here, and now you got to go back. So for me, luckily, I was able to make a wave through YouTube, and I just kept the wave going. And for 4 years, it's been very sustainable for me. It's only not sustainable if I was over drinking or hanging out and I lost track and stopped making content, which I've done that a few times, overspending. But other than that, YouTube is relatively stable. I can predict what I'm going to make every video every single month. The issue with the barbershop was either find somebody to run it, or some people say, open up. I don't know what's up with these people that leave comments like, you should have just opened up another barbershop, like it's free and like it's just going to be performing like that. It's not McDonald's. Like it's a small business. McDonald's, yes, you can just open it and start running if you open a franchise. But a small business doesn't work like that. So that would be me committing to another 3-4 years living in the States. And I just couldn't do it. Once you get a taste of it, it's like, it's like, no, I got to have that life back. I got to be able to afford that. But luckily, I was able to do it through YouTube. So, the barbershop thing just wasn't going to work. But I would do it again.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it for this.
Yeah.
So I would have to find some way to do it by incorporating this. Maybe doing lessons or teaching people, online, but yeah.
When did living overseas start becoming something you seriously considered instead of just a vacation?
The first trip when I went to Brazil for a week in February 2022, for me, it was kind of like okay, I need to come here once every 3 months. I could just work and this be my quarterly vacation. But when I stayed the second time for 2 weeks, it was so much better than the first one that I was like, oh, you know what? I told my mom, I said, I think I need to figure out how I'm going to relocate here. And a month later, that's when Kevin Samuels, or later that month, that's when Kevin Samuels died. And a month later, whenever I got back, well, my dates are off, but he died like a week after I got back. And it had been a month since I had been there. I started making TikTok videos, and it was able to go from there. But that second trip is what caused me to want to stay abroad full time. Yeah, so after that, I did all I could, like I said, to keep the wave going. And I went and I bought a one-way ticket. The biggest decision I think I've made in my life, because I'm not only am I quitting my business and relocating, but I'm relocating to another country, and I'm giving up on everything that I've progressed on in America. And I bought a one-way ticket from Dallas to here, to Bangkok, and then a one-way ticket from there to Rio, and then one from there to Salvador. And so I knew it had really hit me when I bought the one-way ticket to Rio from here, because that was something I had never did. Yeah, once I bought that one-way ticket, that's when I knew that trip from Rio to Salvador, and yeah, that's when I knew it was official. And whenever I first got out there, and I was sitting on the beach in Salvador, I was just like, wow, it's that feeling. It's like, wow, I'm really here, and I'm not going back home. Yeah. And it's like a whole new chapter. This has to work. Yeah. So yeah.
All right, guys, so quick interruption. Austin built his launchpad to overseas life through entrepreneurship and online income. But you don't need to have a successful YouTube channel, digital business, or remote career before you start moving towards life abroad. For a lot of guys, English teaching can be the launchpad to overseas life that gets you earning income, gets you boots on the ground overseas, and puts you in an environment where you can pursue different opportunities that you wouldn't have seen from America. And it also gives you the free time to start building a location-independent business on top of your English teaching income. So I put together a free Quickstart English Teaching guide that shows you the basics of teaching online and in the classroom overseas. And it also breaks down everything that you need to start. So click the link below in the pinned comment or description of this video, put your email, and I'll send it to you for free. Now let's get back to Austin and find out what opportunities open up for you once you actually touch down overseas. Just stop looking at overseas life from your laptop, right? When you actually get feet on the ground, let's see what kind of opportunities you can meet. When you first started spending serious time overseas, how much of the plan did you actually have figured out already? So how much of your life plan, like for example, how you'd make money, how you'd be living, etc., how much of that did you already have figured out when you first started doing this seriously?
The only thing that I had figured out was that I was going to be making content, but how I would be living, all that was really just done. I'm a very spontaneous person. I just go with the flow with a lot of things. I take a lot of risks that have always paid off. But I just essentially was like, I have YouTube income, and I made sure I could do it for 3 months. Some people that said to do it for a year, no, that was too long to wait. I'm glad I didn't wait. It's been 4 years. It worked for me. It won't work for everybody, but it worked for me. I'm built a little different though. I said, whenever I get there, I'll just get a lease. And if I can't get a lease, then I'll just bounce to the next country. And so I didn't actually, I didn't even know I was going to live in Salvador. I thought I was going to live in Rio. It's just, I wanted to visit Salvador. So I bought a one-way ticket there. And that's still, if it wasn't for Nairobi, that would be my #1 place in the world. So I didn't really have any plan. I just knew I wanted to get out of America.
What fears did you have before leaving?
The biggest fear that I had before leaving, and this was, I think, the only fear that I had, was that, of course, most people think I just started doing YouTube. This is completely new. I had a business for 4 years. I'm dropping this one for the one I've been doing for 3 months. What if this shit doesn't work? You know, what if? Well, I always knew in the back of my mind, I could always go back. I always had the money to go back and be a barber. If this fails within the first, if I told my clients, I left October 16, 2022. I said, if I'm not back here by January, I'm never coming back. And surprisingly, I must have been a really good barber, because surprisingly, I was going to go back in May this year, and those people were still waiting for me to come back to cut their hair, like dozens of them. Yeah, it was very risky because I didn't have that much money saved up either. I think I had like $7,000. So, I mean, in another country, if you decide to live like the locals truly and eating rat-infested restaurants and shop, you know, at places maybe you don't want to shop at, you can make $7,000 stretch for a year, but who wants to do that?
Yeah. Which fears turned out to be legitimate, and which ones disappeared once you actually started traveling?
The ones that disappeared when I actually started traveling was, what if this doesn't work? Because I had fully understood what my audience wants to see and how I could keep the momentum going. I had mastered saying things in a provocative way to keep people talking about me. And I didn't do that intentionally. I realized how to do it after I realized what was pissing people off. And so I was like, oh yeah, I can stay relevant if I just keep talking that way. That came with its own cons as well. But one thing I forgot to mention was, doing that, would YouTube remove my channel at some point because I was being too provocative? Thank God it never happened. I'm surprised they never did it. Because I used to say a lot of, you know, very unfiltered stuff. I mean, it wasn't hateful. It was just very, you know, with the way, I think the way how YouTube is going right now, probably wouldn't have lasted because I think they're trying to become more family oriented now because they want everybody to watch it on TV. You know, long form videos are doing better now, it seems. Of course, shorts too, but long form, yeah. So that turned out to be an illegitimate fear that I thought was going to happen that didn't happen. I don't think I had any fears that came about, or came to fruition.
Okay. What did your first few countries teach you that no amount of research in America could have taught you?
Man, my first few countries taught me how to actually lay back and really be myself. Like in America, it seems, and you may know, you have to wear a mask, or it seems like everybody's pretending. Especially if we're talking about dating. Like you have to pretend to be this fucking thug ass doctor that's selling dope on the side, kilos of cocaine at the border in Laredo, Texas. Yeah. You know, you gotta always put on this mask, and it seems like you can never just relax and be you. Within maybe a month of being, actually before I even moved, just the first 2 trips, I was able to, you know, unwind and become actually who Austin wanted to be. And it also helped me grow up a lot faster. The longer I stayed outside of America and I went to other countries, I was able to learn more about people in general. Some of my takes around, especially living around other Black people in different parts of the world, I've come to notice there are a lot of similarities. I learned that these other countries, because you won't learn this in America, why second and third world countries are the way how they are. Because America just feeds you a bunch of propaganda that everybody out here is just eating dirt off the floor or something. It's not that bad. You know, this is actually a pretty nice place. But you learn that they actually are that way for a reason. Especially if you go to Africa or some parts of South America, you know, why things are a lot more unequal or things are underdeveloped.
Yeah. At what point did you realize that you could actually build a long-term life outside America?
The point that I realized I could build a long-term life outside of America was after I had traveled to maybe about 17 or 18 countries, I think it was, when I was in Turkey, and I decided that I wanted to go back to Kenya to stay full-time, and I was able to get my apartment there and I furnished it, and then it actually felt like I had restarted my life because honestly, for that whole time, the first 2 years, I had been living out of a suitcase the entire time. I would just get a 3-month lease here, 3-month lease there. I'd be staying in Airbnbs for a month at most, average 10 days. And so it just felt like I was traveling, but I didn't have a sense of home. And now that I still have my place in Kenya. I think I still am going to go back. I think I need to get a new place. I think somebody did some witchcraft or something in my place. All of these good ideas I have to make content right now, when I go back there, it's just, I can't think. And I think it's that apartment in general. I think somebody I had there, one of my house parties, something is not right there. But that place did tell me that I could restart my life. I don't really feel like I'll feel that way until maybe I get, you know, I marry my girlfriend and I get permanent residency in her country, because then it'll be official. Long-term visas and temporary residency don't really mean much when you think about it. Like in Kenya, we have a 5-year visa that allows you to enter in as much as you want for 5 years, but you still have to leave every 6 months, and you have to pay if you want to extend past a 3-month period the first time. So I still don't have that true sense of feeling that well, actually, no, I can't say that. Yeah, I don't ever think about going back home. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. Once you stop thinking about going back home, you've officially relocated. I mean, when was the last time you went back to the States?
Oh, it was pre-pandemic, so 2019.
Yeah, so okay, so it's been 7 years. Yeah. I'm at 2 years now, and it looks like it's gonna go well into 4. Yeah, because otherwise I don't have no reason to go back.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a barbershop, I don't have an apartment, I don't have a car or anything, I don't have anything. You know, there's no reason for me to go back unless it's to see my family. And with FaceTime and video chat, if you could talk on the phone with them every day, it's not like it's 1980 where you got to write letters back because you're in another country. Or I guess maybe I could say 1950. I don't know how the phones worked back then. But you had to write letters back in the day, and you would probably miss them more. But I can just video chat them and see them, send them money, or, you know, just can't physically be there with them.
And they'd probably have a much more fun time if they came overseas to meet you compared if you went over there to meet them.
Yeah, I mean, for example, my mother and my younger brother came to see me in Nicaragua. I couldn't go. For whatever reason, they had me where I couldn't, on a no-fly list or something, to go to Nicaragua. I have no clue why that happened. I was in Cali, Colombia. When I got to the airport, it was like, you need to go to the embassy. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like 7 in the morning and the embassy is in Bogota. Like I can't go to the embassy. So they went to Nicaragua. It was significantly cheaper, you know, and it was a different culture. It's a better experience when you can have a change of scenery and it's affordable. So going back to Texas where everything is familiar, I don't really want to do anything. This is the place that made me leave in the first place. So I don't want to come back there anyway. And then if you want to do anything, it's going to break the bank, you know? And I think unless if you're earning over 300 grand in America every year, everything seems like it's too high. Yeah.
When did creating videos stop being something you were doing for fun and start becoming an actual business?
Just keeping it short, whenever I actually relocated to Brazil and I had sold everything and I was like, this has to work. That's when it really hit me that, okay, I can't, this is not me just talking shit online. This is me surviving. Whenever I was in the States and I was still cutting hair, it was just like a side gig. I mean, for the first 2 months of me being on YouTube, I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't monetized. I started in June. I didn't get my first check until August. So I was just making TikTok videos, agitating people, making them mad. I was still had a message, but I just enjoyed agitating people. And so whenever I got to Salvador Bahia and I started living there and I had signed my year lease, that's when it was like, okay, I need to be strategic with how I make videos. I need to maintain the wave that I have. I can't let it die off. I've seen a lot of dudes, and even some of my wave has died off now, strictly just because the passport bro trend has died off now. I think pretty much completely. I mean, people still talk about it, but it's nowhere. It was a hot topic in 2022, 2023, and somewhat of 2024. Now it's pretty much done. And so I think my trend naturally died with that. But I mean, I still have a good amount of following that watches all my stuff every day. It's just not what it was before. Whenever that happened, I started looking at it as my second channel where I talk about geopolitics and history. And it is stressful. I had to do a second channel because my audience on Auston Holleman, obviously not everybody that watches, but the people that leave comments will make you want to quit talking about those topics. I don't want to get too deep into that, but like when we were talking about like Anthony Carmelo, you know, that kind of stuff, and some of the comments I was seeing, I was like, dude, y'all's mind is over. I'm so glad I'm not back home. But now I look at it as what has more longevity, what's not going to die with a trend. Talking geopolitics, history, things that I like naturally, is never going to go away anyway. And so now I'm thinking more than ever from the business perspective and trying to get sponsorships, doing affiliate links, you know, like my affiliation with Safety Wing, you know, which is a health insurance company that I came across whenever I realized that Kenya wants a new requirement for non-Kenyans to have health insurance when they're entering Kenya. I don't know, for some reason people pushed back and said I was lying. I mean, why the hell would I lie about that? I mean, just think I just woke up in the morning and said I'm gonna lie about health insurance being needed. But anyway, yeah, get your health insurance from Safety Wing. But you have to, when you do this, you have to have multiple sources of income. So like for me, I do my consultations where people reach out to me one-on-one to, you know, get my guidance, which is valuable. Some people go to these other countries and they hear me and they don't reach out to me and they hear me bragging about it. And then they go and they say I'm lying. And they go to Nairobi. Well, where did you go to? I went to this restaurant in Westlands. It's full of prostitutes. That's why you think I'm lying, because I would have told you not to go there if you didn't want to be around prostitutes, fool. You didn't listen. I told you to book with me, or at least buy my guide. If you don't have hundreds of dollars for the consultation, just buy a $40 guide. It'll be way more worth it. So I have things like digital products, guides, digital services, consultations. Later this year, we're doing a group trip in Kenya. It's going to be a high ticket item, you know, but it's going to add value and it's going to add future. It's making it a real business where this isn't just me talking about my experiences. I'm using that as a funnel to replace that barbershop that I had and make it 10 times better. Doing webinars, teaching people how to make money online, or if you want to do an English teaching webinar, or teaching people how to become an English teacher. I'm pretty sure you do things like that. So yeah, ebooks, you have to diversify, because what I have now is what I wish I had when I was a barber. I'm pretty sure if I had the attention that I had now when I was a barber, I would be rich right now, because eyeballs plus a good product is successful.
Yeah.
You know, just like an iPhone. Everybody knows what an iPhone is. So yeah, and they have the attention. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the first ways you made money from your audience?
Man, the first ways that I made money from my audience, surprisingly, were donations. Of course, YouTube AdSense, but I remember whenever I first was in, this is when Red Pill was big, so this may be like July 2022. I did one live stream, I swear to God. I got $3,000 in super chats. I had 1,000 people watching. I had Darius M on there, Alpha Male Strategies, BMT was there. And I think it was another big YouTuber show, the Philip Scott show.
Oh, okay.
He was there. And so I got $3,000 in cash apps and like another $1,500 in super chats. That was the best that I've ever had. I think still to this day. Maybe I've had one better since then. But monetizing my audience was simply just putting out the content that they wanted and telling them like, hey, we can do more if you guys help me fund it. It's not always reliable, which is why I do the other things, but it's there. You know, I didn't start making travel guides and the ebooks and those types of products until December 2023. So about a year and a half of me being into the YouTube game. And I mean, it's okay money. You know, I think $800 a month, you know, you might make. That pays for something. That pays for my rent in Nairobi. But doing consultations has for many months replaced my YouTube income.
How important have consultations been compared with YouTube and live stream income?
Let me tell you, live stream income, again, like I said, depending on donations, is not reliable. I have said many times, sometimes I'm at a point now where I don't know what my audience wants to see. It's not every day. I know what always works, but to have that next video that's going to hit 50,000 views in 2 days or 50,000 views in a day, I don't know what they want to see. You know, if you put a woman in the video, it works for 2 videos and then they're tired of seeing her. If you don't and then they complain. You don't put a woman in the video, then they complain about there not being women in the video. So I'm like, I know what always works. Me giving commentary, just sitting at a desk. That's how my YouTube started. I was sitting in my car, then I was sitting behind my barbershop desk or my round table that I had in the barbershop. That is my bread and butter. I get to sit here and talk about my stuff like this, interviews. So sitting on a live stream for several hours, which is why I try to do Kick, I just can't stay consistent with it because it's a pain in the ass to get the audience to go from YouTube to Kick. But some days, you know, you can get $100, $200 in donations. You're not getting paid if you're walking around because the music will demonetize the video. But you can get $100, $200 in live streams. And then that's happened 2-3 days in a row. The next week, go live, same city, same habits. Nothing in 5 days, you know, no donations in 5 days. So then it's like, you have to continue to create content or you have to have something like the consultations. When I got back to Kenya in 2024 and I was doing consultations to inform people about relocating and use our concierge service, which I still have, which we'll be using for the group trip later this year, I remember my consultation income like triple Xing my YouTube income. Like I was making 3 times more of the consultation, which is why I stopped doing videos. That was another mistake. I should have kept doing it. But I was, one thing that I've done that has been important that has been able to boost my income back up again is banning trolls. Those people, there's some people that, if you're an upcoming YouTuber, there's some people that literally just sit around or they have no life. And their everyday thing is to try to haters. They try to derail you, throw you off your game. Consultations are doing good, but there's all these trolls and complaints saying every video is an infomercial. Every video is an infomercial. And it's like, okay, you know what? Let me go back doing vlogs. Worst mistake I ever made. I should have kept doing what I was doing. Then I started doing geopolitics. Then they complained about that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get rid of these people that are talking. Because I was doing good with consultations. So I think that's the best way you can provide value. I know I'm going all over the place, but I think that's the best way you can provide value to your audience is having one-on-one sessions with them.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned trolls, because I literally just banned the guy. Like, for me, I was kind of on the side. I'm like, I should let people talk. Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm not afraid of criticism. Yeah. But there's some people who, they just come to your live streams just to derail things, and they just throw insults. And it's like, they're not really adding any value. They're just kind of just distracting people. And like I just banned one guy. He always comes to my live stream talking about you. Like, I don't know why he's always throwing salt at you on my live stream. He's trying to, like, you know, start up some kind of confrontation. I just hit the block button the other day after a live stream. I was like, you know, this guy's I don't need this in my life. He doesn't get this kind of access to me. I shouldn't be giving people that kind of access to me.
Yeah, I ban on average at least 30 people a day now.
Oh,
like
wow.
It's making my live chat slower and all that, but I realize that I have something I can provide to my audience, whether if it's experience or just showing them new countries. And when you have dozens of people that are making it seem like you're always doing something wrong and you care about criticism, I use my comments for feedback so I know what to provide. If all the shit that you're reading is just telling you something like to throw you off your game, you'll be derailed. And that's their intent. So yeah, banning trolls goes a long way. Yeah, it's I can focus more.
Yeah.
Sometimes I provoke my audience just to get the trolls to show themselves. Click the button, see, oh, the last 5 comments you left were all negative, no matter what I did. Done. Yeah. I'm a lot more productive now without idiots in my conversation.
Yeah, good life hack.
Yeah.
What did you learn about turning viewers into paying customers?
The most difficult part about turning viewers into paying customers is what audience do you have and what are they looking for? I tried to get into, because I started off, hey, dating women in Brazil is better than America. Dating women in this country is better. American women suck. You know, that's what I started off as. So I was like, oh, maybe I could sell information on how to text women, the whole fresh and fit type of, that trend that was happening back then. And this is like, if I was making $6,000 a month off of YouTube, this was bringing in like an additional 1,000. Versus when I was like, okay, I've traveled around the world. My audience seems to like me heavily when I'm in Africa. There's some people that don't, but heavily they seem to like when I'm in Africa. I come back and I just simply tell people, hey, this is why I relocated to Kenya. If you want me to have a one-on-one session with you where I tell you my expertise and you can skip all the negative parts of stuff that you would have to learn on your own and just make it easier for yourself, you can book with me. And it was substantially, it was significantly better than doing a dating thing. And I remember I posted one video and I got 40 consultations from that video. Yeah. And that's when I knew, I was like, okay, this is what my audience wants. This is what they want to see. But like I said, I ended up getting derailed because I was reading troll comments. Yeah. And I allowed them to kill my momentum. So I won't let that happen again. But you have to know who these people are, what's their demographic, what are their goals? And YouTube shows you that. They show you what else those other people watch. What other niches are they watching? What other channels and where they're located? That would be great if they show you their income, but they don't have that information. Google does. They just don't display it because they know everything about everybody. And what problem can you solve for them? Well, for me, a lot of people think about Africa as a bunch of monkeys running around in HIV. Everything we've been shown on National Geographic. People think that about Africa. So if I tell you that I love it more than being in America and all the other countries I've been to, most people are, well, I don't really know. I want somebody that's there. That's solving a problem. And you're only as successful as big of the problem that you solve. And so that was, it's still the most valuable. When I wanted to do my group trip, which when I started announcing my group trip, it's free for people to sign up and they have to vote between a few countries where they want to go. Kenya was number 1. Brazil was number 2, and I think Thailand and Malaysia were number 3 and 4. People still, no matter what I've said about Kenya, no matter how good I try to show other countries, my audience is still heavily invested in Africa and specific Kenya. And not my audience, the serious people in my audience, because you have some people that watch you just for entertainment. Some people are already living abroad, and then you have people that actually are watching you. Like when I was watching DJP before I ever went to Brazil, I was watching with the intent of doing what he's doing. And so those people, their intent is to go to Africa. So eventually I'm going to have to go back. But like I said, I got to get a new crib. I think I have witchcraft in my house. Yeah.
What makes somebody willing to pay you for advice when they can watch hundreds of your videos for free, man?
That's a really, really good question. Because sometimes I've done consultations with people and, they pay for an hour on the phone for like 6 minutes. And I hang up and like, oh, what was that about? Like, if I paid somebody, I would have at least got 30 minutes out of the session to get more information. People are paying for access. So when you have clout, a lot of things, everything changes for you. You don't have to wait in the line at the restaurant. You get VIP treatment everywhere. People that have big businesses or that are in Africa building solar panels in villages just give you their card and say, hey, contact me. So I become the plug for the network for wherever I go. So if you come to Kenya and I want to import condoms and better condoms into Kenya. Well, I know somebody that can help you do that. And so people pay for it. Because again, if you go to Africa trying to do business the way how you would in America, you will get screwed pretty fast. That's most developing countries. But in Africa, it's off the rails. Go to Kenya and ask somebody, hey, where can I find an apartment? Oh, everybody turns into a realtor. Everybody's a realtor now. Anybody, the biggest profession you can find right now in Kenya is being a realtor. Everybody is a realtor once you're looking for a place because they're going to upcharge you. They're going to try to scam you for it. So it's people are paying for the access to information to have less hurdles when relocating.
Yeah. Okay, so how did digital products change the way you thought about monetizing your audience?
Well, the biggest thing with digital products, I think the best product, I'm not going to say that. I was about to say the best product that you could have is a digital product because physical products, I mean, they're different because they're actually here. People could feel them. You know, they're on display. Digital products are better, though, because they don't take up any space. I mean, they take up digital space, but you can put it on a Google Drive and pay $3 a month for 2 terabytes. It's a very low overhead. You make it one time. You don't have to worry about Donald Trump's tariffs interrupting, the supply chain. So if you can create something valuable that people will buy repeatedly, that fixes a problem for them, like I've done with a few problems, not too big of a problem, a YouTube course or, like a travel guide or an ebook or something like that. I think that if you have those digital products as a YouTuber, yeah, you might make $500, $600, $800 a month if it's, not such a hot product. But those are like the backbone because YouTube income fluctuates, shit happens. And if you have a consistent income from something even just as small as $900 a month, it can really save your ass many months. Mm-hmm. So I think every YouTuber should have a digital product.
Yeah, I agree. So how important is it for a creator living overseas to have several income streams instead of depending completely on YouTube ad revenue?
Number one, if you don't have an email list, you are one YouTube policy away, Instagram policy, whatever platform you're on, from them deleting you, and you don't have access to anybody. So when I sell my digital products, it requires an email, or maybe I'll give something out for free. It requires an email. If you can have 10,000 people on your email list versus your 100,000 subscribers, that 10,000 people on the email list is valuable because, again, those are people that volunteered to give you their contact information, and they're already primed to buy from you, because, especially for me, because they had to buy from me first to usually join my email list. So they're already primed to buy from you. They'll respond to your emails. And if your account is deleted, those are the people that will support you when the worst happens. So having an email list before we get to the streams of income is something you need to have. That's the only way you can, and you can sell an email list too. If you find a company, let's say if you're selling, if your content is about, how to do jump rope, and you have 10,000 people that subscribe for your fitness plans with the jump rope and how to do different tricks or whatever the jump rope. Well, if you can find a jump rope company, you can literally sell that list to them because that's directly, so it's more valuable, or you can collab with them and get commission. So the email list is the first step. And then, as I stated before, you don't own YouTube, and these people run their businesses like a dictatorship. They don't really follow in. They don't have to give you any explanation. You're gone and that's it. So having a backup plan outside of YouTube and building a real business with it is what matters. YouTube is a real business. It's just too fragile. There's one algorithm change and it can kill your entire channel. I remember Mr. Beast's views was down by 60% last year, or that was earlier this year. 60%, he's the biggest YouTuber. I'm assuming his views are back up now, but it's just a fact that his income saw a tank. But he also sells stuff, or he has his businesses on the side. Sponsorship. I believe he has sponsorship. I'm sure he has sponsorships. So that's why you see a lot of people will complain about YouTubers promoting another business like NordVPN, or they have their own product that they're selling. Well, here's my thing. First of all, how the hell are you gonna enjoy somebody's content and then get mad whenever they promote something that allows them to feed themselves every day so they can make more shit for you to watch? I don't get it when people do that. But anyway, it's very selfish. But they do that because you have to do that. I mean, I think I've over-explained it now, but you have to have something to, if your video only gets 200,000 views, maybe you'll make maybe $1,000. I don't know everybody's CPM. You make $1,000, but then that's one time, and it's just $1,000. Like, yeah, it's good for one video, but when are you going to do a 200? Most people aren't getting that many views per video. So the average person is having a hit once a month, maybe a hit once a year. But if you can add a $1,500 60-second insert from a sponsor into the video, well, now you have $2,500. And then if you're also selling your digital products that's just linked, or you have a quick at the end of the video that shows your store and what you sell, well, I mean, now you can make it a $3,000 video. That's a lot better. And if you're living abroad, that serves you for the whole month. So several streams of income is just mandatory. I mean, it's mandatory in any business, but it's definitely mandatory with social media, for sure. I mean, it's actually scary sometimes because, I mean, I don't curse as much. I'm not as provocative, so I'm not really worried about it now, but you just never know what could happen the next day. Yeah.
Did you build the audience first and then figure out what products and service they actually wanted?
Yeah, before I started selling products to my audience, again, it was December 2023. I started June 2022. So I was a year and a half in to doing YouTube, and I didn't start, I mean, the money was so good through donations and YouTube AdSense. I didn't really think about doing a digital product. But whenever I decided I was going to sit in Paraguay for a month straight, and since I didn't want to do vlogs because I didn't want to vlog in Paraguay, I didn't want a lot of knuckleheads coming out there. And there was nothing really to vlog there either. So I was like, how am I going to make money? And I started thinking of ways to ask my audience to see, what do they want to know? What would y'all like for me to make? We want a cheat code or we want you to create a list with the best spots and places to stay. So I was like, oh, that's like a guide, like a pamphlet. Let me go through all the places I've been through. Where did I save them? Looking through Airbnb. And that was just my simple product. So it depends on how you want to go about it. If you want to build an audience first and then ask what do they want later, it'll be kind of regretful, because then when you do make it, you'll be thinking, how much money would I have made? For me, I was in a good position as a barber. I already had the product. I had the barbershop. If I could have built the audience, then it would have been great because I was already in business and ready to take the money. Not with YouTube. That's how it didn't work for me. But I couldn't build an audience with barber. I tried to I couldn't figure it out. I guess God had different plans. Yeah.
So do you think entrepreneurs make a mistake when they build a product before they have enough feedback from real customers?
Yeah. I read the book $1 Million Weekend, and he even made the point that before you create a product, make sure it has a demand. So he was saying something similar to like create a PayPal link or create a Cash App and start accepting donations. I mean, not donations, start accepting payments through those. And if you can get 3 people in 24 hours to pay for it, then you should probably continue going ahead with it. But a lot of people will make products that they think their audience wants. And the audience, you don't always know what the audience wants. Like, I didn't know that my audience wanted me to go back to Kenya, but it just was a coincidence that was what I was going to do. If I would have known that the first time I was in Kenya, that I would have made the service or the product to do that. I mean, life is about trial and error. I mean, you have to try new things, experiment. You're going to fail. A lot of people are afraid to fail. Some people are afraid of being embarrassed with failing. I don't really give a damn. I mean, I'm a human. I don't really have embarrassment too much. I'm a human. I'm going to make mistakes. But if it was my advice, directly, I would say that you should make a small audience first and ask for feedback. Feedback is good from the email list. Yeah. Those are people that actually care. I don't think I have a troll on my email list. I don't think I have a troll on my email list. So yeah.
What business opportunities have you discovered overseas that you probably never would have thought about sitting in America?
So the business opportunities that I would say I discovered living abroad that I would never thought about living in America mostly came to me when I was in Africa. Africa is what I would call a blank canvas. There's a lot of stuff that we have in America that they don't have in Africa. Well, the stuff that I discovered was pretty much what is in America that they don't have here. Well, they don't have shit here. They don't have a AAA service in Tanzania. There's not the, if it is, a lot of people can't afford it. They don't have affordable AAA service. There's a lot of American franchises that don't exist there. They didn't have bagged popcorn in many places. It took me 10 months of being in Nairobi to find bagged popcorn and microwavable bagged popcorn. Bluebell ice cream cups, many of those places don't have. Like, it's endless. There's no aquarium in Nairobi.
Oh.
Yeah. 6 million people in the capital, there's no aquarium. You would not know this stuff until you start living there. I mean, sure, you could ask ChatGPT, but boots on the ground is completely different than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
AI, and even ChatGPT and Google Gemini and the YouTube AI, they tell you AI makes mistakes. I remember one time I used ChatGPT to do one of my documentaries, and I was talking to it, and it said, yeah, Joe Biden is a sitting president in April 2025. And I'm like, what the fuck is this thing talking about? Joe Biden's not the president. He hasn't been the president for months. Like, so it makes mistakes, and you have to really go back and verify many things. When we were trying to come to Vietnam, AI told me once it was visa on arrival. It's not visa on arrival for Z. You know, it said it was for her, though. It's not visa on arrival. So you had to do your due diligence. And, you know, a lot of people were afraid of AI because they said it's going to take their jobs. Well, it turns out, you know, they were like, oh, well, AI content creators are going to replace real people. It turns out real people don't really like AI content creators. Like, I don't like watching it. I like the human touch. I like human error. You know, I think some people are looking at the robots that are in convenience stores in China that are serving people stuff that they would sell at a convenience store. They're like, we don't have this in America. We don't fucking need it. Mm-hmm. We don't need that. Why the hell would you want to get rid of that's? Now, this is what the movies are talking about, but AI is a good tool to help you think of things you wouldn't think of and make research and work easier. But it should always be used with caution. Yeah, booking a consultation is still more valuable.
Yeah, I agree. What overseas business ideas have you pursued that actually went somewhere?
Damn, that's a really, really good question. Most of my ideas that I pursued that have went somewhere have not necessarily been physical businesses in other countries. Every time I've tried to do that, there was always something that stopped it. So I will speak for other people. Businesses that I've seen succeed for Americans in other countries is doing things like restaurant, like the Culture restaurant that's here. That's a very nice place. I ate there yesterday. I loved it. Restaurants, barbershops, and essentially middlemanning. You know, middlemanning between the people that don't know anything in America versus the people that are locals in that country. Most Americans don't want to work directly with the locals. They prefer to work with another American because they don't trust the locals in those countries. Rightfully so. I mean, how many times have you worked with somebody in India and they scammed you? How many times have you worked with somebody in Nigeria and they scammed you? I would rather go through it. I mean, Americans can scam you too in other countries. They do. I'd rather go directly through them.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't get brought up enough. Like, I think Americans in general are pretty distrustful of foreigners. And honestly, like when you're dealing with people who come from developing countries who maybe they don't have a lot in their country, they don't have a lot to lose, and they don't really have a justice system that protects people, they're more likely to do things that are considered unlawful by American standards. But by doing business with another American in a foreign country, you have a much higher chance of holding them to an American standard. Mm-hmm. So they have incentive to not screw you over the way that some random Indian dude in a town nobody's never heard of could screw you over.
Yeah. I mean, if you can still sue an American, and I believe if they can't pay it back, you know, they can put it on their taxes or something like, or they could garnish their checks, depending on how much it is. But like you said, there's some level of accountability. Usually, if somebody takes your money in India, the most you can do is dispute it with your bank. And if that doesn't work, you're just out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's something you've been talking about recently that really caught my mind. Just digging deep on this topic is how, like, you know, the police in these countries, right? Like in America, you call the police are going to show up. If someone's committing a crime, good chance that person's going to be arrested. In some of these other countries, you call the police, they might not show up unless you pay them. And like the prosecutor might not even prosecute the case unless you pay them. Like I have a friend, an American friend in Mexico. Someone committed a crime against him, and the police wanted $800 just to show up and arrest the criminal, and the prosecutor wanted $8,000 just to prosecute the case. And like, you guys don't realize that in these other countries, sometimes the incentive to follow the law and be a law-abiding citizen just isn't there. It's like some of these other countries, like in Mexico, the homicide rate, 90% of murders in Mexico go unsolved.
Damn.
And it's like, you know, some of these other countries, man, like they don't have the same incentive that us Americans have to be law-abiding citizens who, how I say, our behavior is a lot more morally justifiable, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, I don't understand it. That's why even before I started traveling, I used to hate it when I would see Americans saying, you know, we live in the worst country or our police don't do their job. You haven't been anywhere. You haven't been anywhere. Again, if somebody murders your cousin in America, you call the police, they're showing up. They probably gonna shoot you too, but they're showing up. They're ready to arrest somebody. That person will be prosecuted and you don't have to pay nobody. You don't even have to hire the prosecutor. You don't have to do nothing. It works. Bro, if somebody does something in another country, it's usually nothing. I wish Americans would stop complaining about our justice system. No justice system is perfect, but yeah, go try to sue somebody in Brazil. Go try to sue somebody in Kenya. See how it goes.
Yeah, we are truly blessed and we don't even realize it. So what have failed business experiments overseas taught you?
There's two reasons things fail abroad. It's either because if you want to collaborate, it's hard to collaborate with other Americans, usually when it's time to put up money. Americans are usually more skeptical to invest abroad. I had a guy that invested in one of my barbershops that actually helped start the first barbershop. And he did it with no problem there, but when it came to doing it in Kenya, he wasn't as open to doing it as I thought he was, and he told me that. Another reason it could fail is due to bureaucracy. Like, opening a business in another country is not as easy as America. Like in America, if you want an LLC, you pay $300 on Rocket Lawyer. They start your LLC a month later, and then you're in business. In these other places, especially in Africa, you could be waiting on that process for years. And a lot of those businesses in Africa go out of business paying fees and bribes along the way.
When you were based in Kenya, what business opportunities started jumping out at you?
Many things that we have in America, they simply just don't have in Kenya, or it's not as big as it would be. Like I said, AAA, you know, their version of AAA, they don't have good condoms in Kenya. They didn't have bagged popcorn on a mass scale the way how we do in America. You know, there was many small products like that that they didn't have. Customer service is good in Kenya for East Africa. Still not up to American standards, I would say. So I think that could be another industry as well. Training, you know, I feel like they could do better with building inspection. You know, I don't know why throughout Africa they don't have smoke detectors in the house. Like, some shit just doesn't make sense. You know, that's why I say, like, these countries are the way how they are for a reason. Why is there no smoke detector? I asked ChatGPT, it's like, oh, it's culture. It's a culture. No. There's no culture in fire. Fire is fire. So anyway, yeah, and then there's also Nelvin Chuma, NC Nairobi. He's made a lot of my shirts, tailor-made. 2023, I first started buying shirts, and I wore them about 100 times each, and they still look just as good as they did before. And it was like $75 a shirt, so it's more affordable. But for me, you know, it's an opportunity to have a sponsorship and to give Americans a more affordable, tailor-made service.
How different is pursuing opportunity in Kenya compared with Thailand or other parts of Asia?
Pursuing opportunity in Kenya is easier, simply, as I said before, because there's not much. And then the laws are better there. So you can actually get citizenship in Kenya. You know, you can actually own land for 99 years there. You can actually own a business without having to share it with two other people that own 51%. As opposed to here, if you want to own a barbershop, two Thais have to own the majority of it. You can't own land, and I don't think you ever become a citizen. I don't know if that's going to happen. But in African countries, especially in Kenya, that's actually a thing. So you're more incentivized to do business there. The difference is just that the infrastructure is better here than it would be in Kenya. And there's more competition here than there is in Kenya. I know for a fact that tourism is not bigger in Nairobi than it is in Bangkok, because Bangkok is the most visited city in the world. Nairobi's not. It's a lot of tourists, but it's not like here.
Where do you think there are still early stage opportunities in Africa that are already much more mature in Asia?
Everything. I mean, again, when I say that Africa is a blank canvas, like I mean it exactly to the T. Like, there's a railway system here where you can. This is a very populated city, so there's a lot of traffic. So that helps out with people that want to travel that don't have a car, don't feel like sitting in traffic. In Nairobi, the traffic is just as bad as it is here, but there is no railway system. China, I guess China will take care of that. You know, they've been doing Belt and Road Initiative. They do all that kind of stuff. Infrastructure projects are far more mature here than they are there. I remember whenever I was in Namibia, I like to do live streams. So whenever I'm in Namibia, it's like $6 for 30 gigabytes. 30 gigabytes runs out in the day when I do live streams there. I spend $15 here and I have unlimited data for a week. You know, or in Malaysia, it was $17 for a whole month, unlimited data. So I don't know what it is about African countries and them not progressing in those directions, or like when it rains in Kenya, in Nairobi, the whole city could flood and people die in traffic, or there's cars literally being washed away like it's a cartoon, you know, like just floating down the street in a whirlpool. I don't know why, but yeah, infrastructure projects are far ahead here in this part of the world than they are there, which is a bit ironic because they were both impoverished around the same time. I mean, they got independence around the same time in Southeast Asia and in Africa in the 60s, right? Majority of countries got their independence around that time. And the development has been substantially higher in Malaysia, Indonesia. Indonesia was even colonized longer than most African countries. You know, it's like 400 years that they were colonized. And yeah, I don't know what to say. You know, so I think, yeah, infrastructure projects and just about anything else you could think of is still in its infancy in Africa.
You've had some genuinely bad experiences overseas. Why didn't those experiences convince you to just go back to America permanently?
Man, I've had some really bad experiences. I mean, I've been extorted. I've had the police come in my house and extort me. You know, I've been kicked out of restaurants that I've supported and promoted long term. I've been on CNN Brazil. You know, I've been held at gunpoint simply because I guess I'm mature enough to realize that, I mean, I'm in another country. Shit's gonna happen. This type of stuff happens in America. I mean, you can get pulled over by the police in America and get killed. So, I mean, life is never gonna be peaceful. I mean, it's does that outweigh the benefit of what you're receiving from living abroad or not? I mean, if your negatives, if your cons are starting to outweigh the positives or the pros, then maybe you should go back. But some people have one bad experience and they think it's just time to go back home. Is it really safer back in America? I mean, how much? I mean, you have dudes standing in subways hacking at people with machetes for no reason. Like, wait, it's not going back to a safer place.
So you became known during the early wave of American men talking heavily about leaving the U.S. and dating overseas, what you might call the passport bro movement. So what do you think that movement got right, and what did that movement get wrong?
The movement got right that it's going to get worse before it gets better when it came to dating in America. I think that the main thing that it got wrong was dudes just falsifying what's really going on abroad. I know I've gotten a lot of pushback for telling people the truth. I think people really just want to be lied to, man. Like, the people I see that their content is just all cinematic. You know, they don't show you none of the bad shit. They don't tell you not one thing. I mean, they could probably get shot and lose their leg, and you'll never know it. They'll just put on a prosthetic leg and keep going and tell you that was the best country they ever been to. They don't tell you nothing bad at all, and so it gives dudes a false perception of what it's really like. Even as something as simple as when I tell people, hey, you should still look at these women in other countries as women. They're still human. They can still make mistakes. I never said it was perfect. I just said it was so much better. But that doesn't mean you can just be a fool and come over here. So it invited a lot of dudes to come over to other countries and do the exact same thing that they were doing in America. And they're not realizing that they're the problem a lot of times. But I mean, what it's gotten right is good cost of living, better sense of peace, more feminine women, less of a gender war. You know, everything is generally speaking better. But I mean, the cons are corruption, distance away, you know, visas, long-term stay issues, you know, those types of things.
Yeah. I remember when the Passport Bro movement first got started, and it's like guys were posting in the chat groups and the Facebook groups, guys who've never been abroad. They're posting like, oh man, getting women overseas is so easy. Like, you're gonna be getting dime pieces, like, you know, you can be a fat slob, da da da. And like I was already living overseas for a long time at that point, like 8 years by the time the Passport Bro movement started. So when I see these guys talking like, man, you should be getting, you know, dime pieces as soon as you meet her first day, take her home. I'm like, sometimes it works that way, but not always, bro. It's like not every woman you approach is going to be 100% slam dunk, you know, going home with you that night, getting freaky. Like sometimes, you know, take the woman out on a date, it might not work out. The chemistry might not be there. You know, don't expect every woman that you meet to instantly come home and get in bed with you just because you're an American. And a lot of guys, they were giving off that kind of false perception of like, oh man, you know, I know how women overseas are, man. No, you don't. You know how prostitutes are. You know how those types of women that you pay are. But actual normal women, they might not, you know, be that eager to hop in bed with a random foreigner.
Yeah, no, a lot of that stuff was falsified with prostitutes. I'll say this, even when I first went to Brazil, I met a guy, and I'm not saying nothing negative about him, but I met a guy that was telling me, you know, just walk through Rio. Me and my friend, he was telling us, just walk through Rio. All you gotta do is walk up to whatever chick you want to say, ask her, do you have WhatsApp? She'll put her number in your phone. And we were like, that doesn't sound right. Like, we were having a good time. We were having our way the way how we wanted it. But I knew this shit, you gotta be talking to prostitutes like that.
Yeah.
Like, even if a woman walked to me just said, give me your number, like, why? What the fuck for? You even said to me. You didn't even say hello. So it just be kind of strange. But that's me as a man. I know for a fact women don't. I know they don't like it. You know. And these dudes were approaching all the women like that, and we were just showing like, yo, you can just walk up and start a conversation. Like, I've never cold approached. I'm like, this is the reality that they're selling. Is they just come down here and sleep with a bunch of hookers and whores, and that's. And if you want to do that, that's okay, but just don't lie about that. That was my thing. Stop lying about shit.
Like they're acting like they're getting a submissive woman, but they're not mentioning the monthly salary that they pay that woman, or they kind of skirt that under the rug. And it's like, I'm okay with financially providing for a woman, but I try to be honest on social media. I don't want to give a false perception. And a lot of guys are kind of selling a false dream to unsuspecting Americans who've never been overseas. They're selling you the false dream that, you know, just get overseas and all your problems will disappear. A lot of your problems probably will disappear, but it's like you still might need to, you know, improve yourself. Like I know Austin's a big fan of self-improvement. I love constantly educating myself, trying to take myself to a higher level. And yeah, you do still need to do some kind of inner work, guys. It's not just like, you know, get the plane ticket, get overseas, and bam, the rest of your life is taken care of. Like you still got some work to do.
Yeah, no, it's the same stuff as if you were in America. It's just, it makes more sense. Everything. I mean, even talking about like hospital bills. Like again, if you want to get an HIV rapid test in America at Walgreens, it's $50 for one person to get that rapid test. If you want to get that same rapid test in Kenya, it will be $3. You know, it'd be significantly cheaper. It's the same company that makes both tests. That makes more sense. Approaching women and they don't act like you're a rapist or something. That makes more sense abroad. They still understand that people have met each other by being strangers initially for thousands of years. I mean, it's always worked that way, but apparently it doesn't work that way in America anymore. And even places like Sao Paulo, I kind of noticed it a little bit. Not too much, but I noticed it. It's a little more leaning to that side there. So yeah.
Do you think somebody needs to have location-independent income completely built before leaving America?
It wasn't my story. I mean, I guess it was completely built. I just didn't know if it was going to be stable. Thank God it was. But yes, and being a responsible adult, I'm going to tell you yes. I would not get on camera and tell you no otherwise. Yes, you need to have a profitable, consistent, stable online source of income before you decide to relocate. Because when you relocate, if you go broke in Kenya, you will not, they don't have food stamps or Section 8 there. and you wouldn't get it anyway because you're not a citizen.
How much financial stability would you personally want before making the move?
I would say you want to be stable with around $4,000 per month. I'm not going to tell you to move abroad on a $500 a month income. I don't know why the hell. And the thing is, people make these videos so much to the point where people that I once knew personally were super delusional. Like, I remember when I first came to Thailand and I was telling this one guy, it's cost me like $500 a month to stay at this place in Pattaya. I can't remember the exact price. I'm just throwing a number. He's like, that's kind of pricey for Thailand. You should only be looking at around $100. I'm like, how cheap do you want this shit to be? It can't be that. I mean, you know what? You can find somewhere for $100. I tell you what, I had this guy that recorded my video in Kenya. And this was the first time I seen a 7,000 shilling or $50 a month apartment in Kenya. It was in a farm where there was an outdoor toilet in the middle, just like if they had a toilet right there. And it was literal shacks with just like a bullshit ass door. And he had a propane tank and a pot on top and a bed. I mean, it literally looked like snakes could be in there or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, if you want to stay with $300 a month in Kenya, this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. So I'm not going to get on here and tell you, oh, $1,500 a month is enough to live in Kenya. It's enough to survive. You know, $800 for my rent. You don't have to have an $800 rent. You can have a $400 rent. Let's just say $400 rent, $200 on groceries, transportation, another $200 because they don't have a train, so you got to take Ubers. You know, social life, you know, maybe you come out around $1,000, $1,100. But I always like to say, some people like to say, oh, I can go live in Kenya and I can save a lot of money. I'm just going to ride motorcycles everywhere I go. Well, what are you going to do when you fall off that motorcycle and break your damn leg and they need $800 to fix your leg?
Yeah.
It's not like America where you could just go into the hospital. It's illegal for them to, because the doctor in America just say, they can't say, oh, like he's been shot, like he doesn't have health insurance, I'm not going to help him, he's going to bleed to death. In these other countries, that's not illegal. Like, it's not illegal for them to not help you because you don't have the money. I had a homegirl that told me her friend hurt herself in Tanzania. She had to get stitches. She didn't have the money for the stitches, so they took them out. They took the stitches out.
Wow.
This is in Tanzania. Versus in America, they can't do that. You walk up to the counter, how would you like to pay? Do you have insurance? You want to pay cash? I don't have cash, can you just bill me my meal? And then you never pay. It fucks up your credit, but you got help. And if you get hurt again, they can't look at your credit and say, oh, you didn't pay last. They got to help you again.
Yeah.
So, in other words, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in Kenya. If you fall, I had a doctor in Kenya tell me this. If you fall off a motorcycle and you have a leg injury that needs surgery, if you cannot afford surgery, they amputate your leg.
Oh.
So if your ass is making just around $1,000 a month and it's cost you $800, you're going to get an amputated leg too if you fall off a motorcycle. Wow. That's something people had to think about. I mean, yeah, if you go get surgery in Kenya, $80,000 surgery in America probably costs $5,000 there, but you don't have $5,000. You making $500 a month. How you going to pay for that? Now, if you make $500 a month, you got $200,000 in savings, disregard whatever I just said. But no. So I think you need to be stable around $4,000 a month.
Okay.
It could be 3.
Yeah.
3 is okay. I say 4 to have room for error.
Yeah.
If your cost of living is $1,000 and you make an additional $2,000, that's fine. But no, you don't want to be in the hospital not affording to pay. I've seen people in other countries have to give the deed to their house to the hospital because they didn't have the money for the medical bill.
Wow.
So you are jeopardizing a house that you own because you don't have a couple $100 or $1,000 to pay for the medical bill.
Yeah.
No. Or you can get safety weed.
Yeah. I mean, I typically tell guys, like, okay, for Southeast Asia, bare minimum, you need $1,000 a month, bare minimum. Now, you won't be living like a baller, you won't be living like Austin or me, but that's enough to survive. Like, if you're on some kind of entrepreneurship journey where you want to get overseas, and you're going to be really hustling, as soon as you get $1,000 a month, you can live overseas. Now, you won't be living comfortably, but that's a starting point. The higher you get above $1,000, the better. I say, if you want to live a decently comfortable life, $1,500 a month, Southeast Asia, like Vietnam, Pattaya, not Bangkok. I wouldn't live in Bangkok on $1,500 a month, but
No.
cities like Pattaya, like beach towns like that, where everything's fairly inexpensive, that's a good enough start. And from there, you can build up. But like if you're making $1,000 a month consistently from whatever you're doing, that's enough to go overseas if you got the hustler's mindset of taking things further. The goal isn't to stay at $1,000 a month for the rest of your life. The goal is like use that starting point of $1,000 and progress from there. And that's what I suggest. Well, I don't suggest staying at like bare minimum, like poverty level income for the rest of your overseas life.
Well, put it like this: the average person in Malaysia almost earns $1,000 a month. Like you should always be outpacing the locals almost 3 times, depending on where you're at. I mean, if you decide to relocate to Qatar or something like that, maybe not, or Oman, or maybe not. But I'm just wondering, for single men, if you have a $800 a month income, what are you gonna be whacking off the whole trip? Like, these women in other countries are beautiful and friendly. You're gonna want to go on a date. You can't even buy her fucking beer. Like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? You can't. And okay, well, I don't date Austin. I like to hire my women so I don't waste time. But you can't buy hookers with that money either. So, I mean, what are you gonna do with that income? I don't know. So, yeah, make some better money.
Yeah, definitely. Or you're going to be going on monk mode overseas. And maybe during that monk mode, you're going to be really motivated to get your cash together. You know, monk mode can be very good for making money. I'll be honest with you. It can be very good, like blocking out women and just focusing all that sexual energy on whatever business opportunities you're pursuing. That can be a very good short to medium term strategy, but not a long term strategy.
Well, I'll tell you one too. I knew somebody that did a consultation for somebody that wanted to go to a city in Africa. And it was 2 people making, Two people making $500 a month? A couple making $500 in America, making $500 a month. And they wanted to know if they could relocate to Africa. First of all, if you want to relocate to Africa, it is not cheap at all. Especially if you do it the right way, getting residency. You have to have a lot of money to do that. First of all, what are you doing in America for 2 people to be earning $500?
Not a lot, right?
You should be making that a week at least. And that's still poverty level in America. Like, if you're earning $2,500 in America, there's no way in hell you don't have a roommate. There's no way you're paying a car note. And if you do have a car, it's always the one that's shutting down at the red light. The one that I had in high school. First of all, what are you doing for that? And second, stay in, if that's what you're making, stay in America. $500 a month to relocate in a city in Africa where a 1-bedroom is $500. You can go stay in Kasarani, or you can go stay somewhere outside of Masaki and Dar es Salaam, or you can stay like the guy I told you that had the $50. Well, why the hell do you want to do that? America's not that bad.
Yeah.
Go live with your family or something. Like, no.
Okay, so given that you now have portable income, how do you choose where you want to spend time now?
I choose based off of my level of maturity at the time, what my interests are, and what my goals are. So when I first got back to Kenya, my main concern was making enough money so I could drink and smoke and sleep with different women. Eventually that got old, and I discovered places like Botswana, Namibia that were boring and nothing going on, but it felt just right to me. So that's why I was going to relocate to Namibia, but it's impossible to do that unless you're going to buy a house. Their rental situation is destroyed there. So like right now, I enjoy places like Namibia, Botswana, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is boring, but it allowed me to focus on what was important and come up with new ideas. When you have a lot of stimulation, like what's going on, even Malaysia is not boring, but it's less going on there than it is here. It's less touristy there than it is here. But I was still able to come up with better ideas than I would have here. Even though I'm not doing too much here, I just noticed that my productivity dropped very slightly. When I'm in Kenya, where there's a lot going on, my productivity drops significantly. So I think it's based off of what stage I'm at in life, and also what's most ideal. If I have to Like here, I can't stay longer than like 30 days, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here. I'm trying to stack money and make more money. I'm gonna be traveling back and forth every month to do so. I'm not doing that shit. But in Kenya, I can stay 6 months at a time if I want to. I spend a lot of time. I can stay in Namibia 6 months at a time. That's why I've been in Africa so long. Like even though there's cons, the pros are outweighing the cons. At times it feels like the cons can outweigh the pros, but not all the time. I also prefer being around black people. I also prefer to be away from black people sometimes, man. The black people are stressful. As much as I love it, I prefer to live in black countries, but damn, sometimes you got to get away from it for a minute. So, yeah.
So now we're going to give some advice to you guys in America. So if somebody watching this wants an overseas life, but has no audience, no remote business, and no perfect plan to get overseas, what should he focus on first?
He should focus on what type of budget does he need and how realistic is to attain that, and what will he do to attain that, and where can he move to, as I just said before, that has the best visa program, that has a stable currency, and that has a stable political system so you don't have to flee, in the middle of a civil war. What works best that checks all the boxes. A lot of people want to reload. I think Thailand is played out now with, come over here. I think it's Vietnam that's on that now. A lot of people will go, come over to Thailand. Well, yeah, you got to leave every 30 days. You can ride a bus to Cambodia and come back to Malaysia. It's not going to cost too much, but I mean, it's just an extra hassle. You'll never become a citizen here. You can't really own shit here. What is actually suitable for who you are. But you could only know that if you book a consultation with me, because I can't really guess everything because I don't know who I'm talking to. If you'd like the book, it's expatfreedomsystem.com.
Yeah, and I'll throw his links in the pinned comment and description of this video so you guys can easily follow Auston and get access to his consultation, because he has a lot of useful information. He's been to a crap ton of countries, and he's got a lot of content on his channel. And the bugs love him. You see bugs, she love him. They love his blood. So for the guy who wants to get overseas, what skills would you tell him to start developing?
Customer service, virtual assistant. I would also say you already have a skill that can be monetized online. So if I could talk to myself 4 years ago when I was a barber, I now have the knowledge that knows how to monetize my career that I already had, where I could have been selling it online. I couldn't figure it out back then. But there's a chance that you are a chef, or maybe you're a therapist, or you have something we have the internet now where you can broadcast it to the world. So learning how to monetize what you already know, rather than going back to school or going back to some course to get more certifications, is probably what's most valuable right now.
All right, our final question. You've traveled through a lot of countries, built income from content, sold consultations and digital products, explored business opportunities in Africa, and dealt with some bad experiences overseas too. Knowing everything you know now, what opportunities can a man only start seeing once he stops researching from America and actually gets his boots on the ground overseas?
The opportunities that you can see once you stop researching and you get your boots on the ground in the actual country that you want to go to would be the opportunities that can impact the locals the most. I don't genuinely believe that you can type in on Google, like, what can I do that could impact the locals that would be as accurate as you wanted to. I know some people that have been to Kenya that now they're building solar panels for people that are working in the village, something out of the box that probably most people wouldn't think about. You have to actually be there and see the day-to-day issues to realize that, there's a problem with, content creators live streaming or taking videos of whatever photos in Nairobi. What if you built a cafe only for influencers to come and collaborate, and it's just a regular restaurant? It just doesn't have those policies. That's something you would have to learn from actually being there.
Yeah, like there are a lot of opportunities that you probably can't see from where you are in the States, guys. So you're only going to see it once you get overseas. Watching our YouTube videos can help. It can give you a perspective. But once you actually get feet on the ground, you're going to see some things that maybe you would pursue that we personally wouldn't pursue. Like, I know guys in the States who have some kind of musical ability, artistic ability. So the opportunities that they're going to be seeing once they get feet on the ground in a foreign country is going to be different from, for example, the opportunities that a travel YouTuber might come up with, or an English teacher. So yeah, like just, keep an open mind and realize that there's a whole gigantic world out there that you probably haven't seen from YouTube. Like YouTube can give you a good percentage, like a good approximation of things, but you're gonna see a lot more opportunities that you never would have thought of, that you never would have seen on the internet once you actually touch down overseas. And I want to thank Auston for coming to be interviewed today. He has a lot of valuable experiences. He has a lot of subscribers on his channel. Like, I've been watching his channel for years. I highly suggest you guys subscribe to Auston Holleman. And Auston, what are some services that you think my viewers could benefit that you offer?
So we host monthly webinars that teach people some of the questions that you ask, like how to monetize skills that you already know, what country should you pick if you're living in America, you want to know where to go first, how to have a sufficient amount of income coming in before you leave. Basically, a make money online webinar and live from anywhere in the world. That is in my pinned comments, or I have you pin it if you don't mind. And if you go to expatfreedomsystem.com, I do one-on-one consultations where I essentially tailor the experience that you should have depending on where you go, mainly centered around Kenya, but it could be anywhere in the world, that helps you avoid the pitfalls when you go to a new country. And more than anything is access to the network. I mean, you can go, again, a lot of people go to Kenya and they don't want to listen to me, and then they go and then they get online and complain, and there's a bunch of stuff that I would have told them not to do. And it's available. It's expatfreedomsystem.com if you guys are interested in that as well.
Yeah, great. All right, guys. So Auston's path and mine were different, but the principle is still the same. Auston's launchpad to overseas life became content, consulting, digital products, and location-independent business ventures. Mine was English teaching, and once you get overseas, the game changes. Your network changes, your cost structure changes. You start seeing business ideas, partnerships, markets, overseas opportunities that you never would have saw from America. Now, that doesn't mean that you jump on a plane with no plan for what you're gonna do. It means that you stop demanding for every detail to be perfect before you start taking action. So if you're serious about getting overseas and you're not sure what your first move should be, offer a free 15-minute Get Overseas strategy call. When you get on a call with me, we'll map out your situation and see if English teaching, such as teaching online, teaching in person, or doing a mix of both, fits your situation. English teaching is the fastest way to get overseas making consistent income. I highly recommend it for you guys who want to get overseas fast and don't want to waste the rest of your life in America, because really you're burning years of your life, bro. You're wasting a lot of time just watching videos and not taking action to get yourself overseas, man. You're not getting any younger. So I highly suggest you book my free 15-minute Get Overseas strategy call, and let's talk, man. Let's map out your strategy. All right, guys, hopefully you learned a lot of stuff today, and I want to thank you for flying with the Flight Madness. See you in the next video.